Our aims broadly for 20 years are to set up environmental community centres in empty buildings and inspire people to take action to help the environment and community, but also as part of a campaign to have some sense, some common bloody sense, as someone might put it, that there's 1.5 million empty buildings, no one needs to be homeless. You could have a list of all the buildings that are empty over 6 months or a year, and a list of all the people who are homeless, families that need accommodation, and you could be creating homes, community or environment projects or self-employment projects, and creating employment for people by fixing, tidying, repairing these places, learning about health and safety, people fixing them up, and then families or projects could move in.
As far as the events here go, we basically just opened up to the community and said, what would you like? Because we don't really care what goes on in here. So it's more for meeting the needs of the community. So we've had people offering to do yoga workshops. We've got a home education group, so mothers can come in and support each other in caring for their kids. There's been campaigners presenting with slides their work, that kind of thing. It's really just the kind of community activities that unfortunately are becoming so hard for people to engage in nowadays without paying lots of money. So this space is a way of saying to the community, do whatever you like for free, and that has value besides making someone else profit.
I believe that the Bohemia is a continuation of like a root that is being planted nationwide, not just in small pockets of London or other such major cities, but nationwide. People are sort of waking up to realise that like they can actually take control of their own lives, their own realities, and they can see through the mask of illusion that's been created, that everybody has to get a mortgage, get a job, and keep on supplying into this never-ending well that the privileged dip into at will, freely, where everyone else has to sort of contribute to it through sort of like their very being. I believe it's just a byproduct of people waking up to realising that the system that they've been born into isn't the only option that exists.
I think the vast majority of people can see that there is something really, really messed up, and that the world is not a fair place. I mean, but it's just so generally accepted by people. People just go, life isn't fair. But my attitude is no, you question everything that is unfair, and you fight against it, and you always fight to try and make a fairer and a better world. So that's why I get involved.
That's why we took this place to converge people, because all the pubs are being closed down. There's almost no place for people to come together and discuss and to tell their problems to each other, to converge, to debate without being recorded and held responsible for whatever they say. So that's why we wanted a pub with Mordecai. This was pretty much our little dream from last spring, or this spring, whatever you call it. And this was really lucky that we got the Bohemia. This is a perfect spot for that, and it's a high road. It's all right.
I specialize myself for pub theaters. That's why when I heard the local people very angry to lose the Bohemia, and they asked us, why you don't occupy the pub? I was very happy, and yes, this is what I want. We need a place where you can say anything, and that's why important this kind of anarchist community project. Oh, the court case is very important, because not just we charged to the court, but we just the caretakers of the people behind us, behind this project. More than 1,000 signatures, more than 1,000 local people.
So basically we believe we have a caretaking arrangement with the estate agents and with the pub owners. They said they're happy for us to stay here and show in other prospective pub tenants or workmen given 48 hours notice. So we've basically got a licence to occupy and be here until they find the new people to go in. However, the administrators, who are the people who take over the building when it goes bankrupt, they have decided, even though we've been here for a month and we've sent them lots of letters, to take us to court on November the 4th. So we're going to work very hard next week to try and avoid court, persuade them we're good people, got a massive amount of support here, and it's going to look very bad in the media for them if they try and push us out. Because it's, you know, the free-thinking people at the margins of our society are often the people who help remind people and protect some of our rights, and when you remove a lot of these free-thinking people, it's easier to control everyone else, and there's a big push at the moment to try and eradicate squatters in some way from the Tory government.
So that's why I really wait for the November 4th.
Court date today, we had court at 10 o'clock, and it was adjourned until the 18th of November because we had been scheduled in for a 10-minute court case, and immediately the judge said we haven't got anywhere near enough time to do this because this is quite a big case. There's a lot of paperwork to go through, and so she's adjourned it till then, which will hopefully give us a bit more time to put together a more watertight case for this staying as a community asset and turning into a cooperatively owned pub or community centre, which is what we'd like to make it into.
I think it's absolutely amazing what is happening here. I think the guys have done a brilliant job. We've got, as you can see, it's a very large building that we have here that is just, it's a community space that has just been sitting there empty, admittedly not for very long, but that is only because of the expeditious nature of the guys that have come and taken it over. The reality is, if they'd done nothing with it, this would have sat here unoccupied for a long time, and this is a big public space that can be being put to use as it is now.
So we're cooking lasagna, we're having a sort of a collective meal. One of the good ways to keep spaces like this psychologically healthy, and a good way to get people in and have us interacting with the locals, is to just centre it on food. So people eat together, they talk together, they form bonds. It's good. So it's a way of trying to demonetize community life. So this street that we're on has a Starbucks, a Costa, a Nero, all of these places, and before they got there, it would have been more community institutions. Now they're corporate-owned institutions. They're entirely controlled environments. If you want to go in them, you have to be paying in some way. What happens in those spaces is up to the people far away in corporate offices, and all the money is going there and not to the community. So it kind of sucks, really. So things like a People's Kitchen are just basically the reverse of that. You can come, you can eat, it's free. If you want to eat this, you can say. If you want to eat that, you can say. It's just the opposite set of values, I suppose.
I think it's fundamental to the very being of sort of the planet that people wake up and see that if we keep taking from a whole, eventually the whole will collapse in on itself because there is nothing to hold it.
Tomorrow, the 5th of November, is traditionally actually meant to be Protestants celebrating the fact that Guy Fawkes didn't get to blow down Parliament, which I don't really celebrate because it doesn't make me particularly happy. And another couple of things that are going on tomorrow. You have the Anonymous March on Parliament, which is going from Trafalgar Square to Westminster. And last year it was probably about 1,000 people. This year they're hoping it'll be 10,000 people, but you can never be sure. And then at the same time, you've got a march from Westminster Bridge to Parliament as well. I don't think it's that short a march, it must be going somewhere else. But that's being run by Stop the War, who are against everything at the moment.
So on the 5th of November, it was advertised as a global day of civil disobedience. 400 and something cities around the world. I saw the map, it's pretty much everywhere. Asia, Australia, Africa, Europe, America, pretty much everywhere there's been actions. And this thing called the Million Mask March, when people in Air Force masks were marching towards their parliament and demanding justice and blah blah blah, usual thing. This time it was many people everywhere, and the media completely didn't report anything, basically.
Well, the court case is a fairly standard procedure. the people who own the deeds to the property are going to take us to court and try and gain possession of the building, which means that they will have the authority to tell us that we have to leave or when we have to leave. So our defence is going to try and in court persuade them and persuade the judge that we should be allowed to negotiate a time of leave that we want to leave, and hopefully that will be for as long as possible. Well, when you squat in empty buildings, court dates are a fairly frequent thing. They lose their excitement after a while. I think it's very likely we'll lose because the law is tilted towards private property more so than it's tilted towards anything else, such as the right to shelter or the right to protest or whatever you might be trying to use in your defence. So I think we'll probably lose.
The court gave a possession order, basically. The judge listened very carefully to all our arguments about we had a licence, but he said that the guy that we said partly gave us a licence didn't have the right to give us a licence. There was further arguments that people, the administrators who actually had the right and title, should have given us, had given us some licence, but he didn't accept that. Basically, he gave a possession order, but he really slapped the other side down and didn't give them any costs. They generate £23,000 of costs just on this court case, which is crazy. And we said we'd leave at an agreed date, and they should have talked to us and agreed a leaving date rather than wasting court time and £23,000 worth of costs.
We would have wished for more time to move out rather than 12 o'clock tomorrow. It's a bit short. I don't know. I guess we don't quite know what to say.
It wasn't the kindest ruling that has ever happened.
We was hoping for better.
Yeah. So now we're homeless. Yay!
Britain is full with empty houses. Not this is the question actually. It's not a housing project. We can stay somewhere, it's a protest. Let's see who wants more this place. Some landlord, faceless landlords maybe, or the community of the street.
Basically, usually you get a few days to a week minimum, really. It has been heard that they come around very quickly, but generally I wouldn't have thought they'd done that quick. 12 tomorrow is extremely quick, considering they only got the ruling at court about 3-4 this afternoon. So for the policeman to know about it and to threaten him, maybe he was bluffing, maybe he's serious, maybe we will get a van of police and 3 or 4 big bailiffs. We're calling for a solidarity demo for people to come here between 11:30 and 2-3 and be around and help save the Bohemia into another weekend, and we'll get on with scouting, find other buildings and carry on what we've been doing for years, you know, just keep at it. 1 eviction, 2 new squats, keep doing it.
I mean, like, I'm quite that inexperienced really with squatting. So, like it's quite new to me, this barricading like the squat. But I mean, that if we that we're going to be like evicted, like within 24 hours of like the court, I think that's quite unreasonable, really. And so we've not had adequate time to prepare to leave and find new places. But like, but the new people living in the squat from like a protest before, and they just asked me to come along and to help them out. So that I did. I mean, like hear about lots of things, and like I see lots of problems in the world, like with governments and with like cultures and people's beliefs, like religions and like, all sorts of things. But the environment is the most important because it will like affect us for a very long time. And like if we fuck it up now, then like it could be impossible to We'll sort it out later.
If I was to be put in front of a soapbox, the message to the world I would have is, if you don't create your own reality, you are created in someone else's.
I'm gonna put this one flat up so we can yeah, that's really good, that's really good. But
So I guess the scene is witness to fantastic waste of resources, waste of a nice community space. This is all happening because the people who allowed us to be here in the first place, when we wrote back to them and said, we can leave at a date of your choice, let's just sit down and organise it. They ignored it entirely and took us to court, which is why, in fact, they had to pay £30,000 court expenses, because the judge realised that they'd failed massively in terms of forcing us into court. The reason we were here in the first place is to try and turn a space that might otherwise become a Tesco's 100 metres down the road from the large Sainsbury's, to try and turn that into a space that was working for the community, as it had been before. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, I hope in some small way these things actually kind of inspire people that they can take action, that they are citizens and not just passive consumers, which is what we're sort of forced into believing that at least everybody else is, even though most of us don't actually believe that of ourselves. We still tend to buy the idea that that's just the way people are and it's human nature, but it's not. We all actually want a better world where we're not just putting 1,000 Tesco's in instead of a couple of Tesco's, or even a less unethical shop, as well as lots of other good things that we need. And long live the compassionate revolution, basically, the democratic revolution. That's what it's about. It's about getting to a point where more than a tiny pocket of people actually feel that, they can do something about the things that are wrong in the world, rather than just kind of have to get on with it and try and keep their heads above water and me and mine and all that. It's it's not the way we're meant to be. What makes humans happy and inspired is being part of something larger. Me and mine, we all really sense our happiest when the surrounding culture is happy, and that's increasingly it's not what we have. We have a sort of toll booth society where pretty much everything we do ends up giving more money to the same huge corporations that use that money to destroy the democratic process. So we've got this kind of shell that essentially makes the rich richer and sod the consequences for an increasing number of people at the other end.